There always just seems to be something that goes wrong with this team. I don't know why, but it just keeps happening. And I just hate it. And this is why Nebraska baseball is an absolute enigma of everything. You can have the one of the best talents in college baseball, the best shortstop, the best fielding, the best hitters, a pretty decent core of pitchers that get drafted in the third round of the MLB draft. And yet, you go 1-2 in the regional. You don't even win the Big Ten tournament, the tournament that you won last season as an 8 seed with no momentum. You win 0 trophies, and you do nothing. You backslide, in a way. Maybe not in the regular season. You actually decided to start winning games. I mean, I don't know, cool. 43 wins, 17 losses. Okay. Cool. The thing is, though, I've seen this shit before. I have seen this shit before. It was 2 years ago when I watched this team flounder horrifically after winning the Big Ten tournament championship, getting second in the conference. The year before the expansion to the California schools, it was like, okay, that's pretty nice. Put together a couple of, decent performances with, not overly the best of talents, but, it happens. But here we are 2 years later with players that are much better than that squad of 2 years ago, that actually have MLB talent, that are somewhat rated by MLB scouts. And yet, they're in the exact same damn position as they were 2 years ago. Not even winning the Big Ten tournament, but finishing second in the conference standings and going 1-2 in the NCAA tournament. Because for a third year in a row, despite getting a host in the regionals for the first time in what seems to be an age, we shit it badly. We shit it so damn hard. But I guess we should learn of the build-up to this season. Now, this season, I gave them 0 chance to do jack shit. I didn't really care about who it was. I just knew that the coaching was terrible and that all the assistants that are, the assistants and Will Bolt are they're just not good enough to win games. There has to be some other factor. And it sort of showed, I guess. In the first couple of games, we run rule UConn. We beat Northeastern. Not by a whole lot, but whatever. And then beat Grand Canyon, which, I mean, their softball program's good. I don't know about their baseball team, but whatever. But obviously we couldn't end with that. We have to lose to a goddamn California school. Whatever, it's fine. We just hate Mondays, I guess. Then head to the next neutral site or whatever. Not get blown up by Louisville, but certainly lose to them. Lose to K-State, which that's not the greatest idea. But then finally showing some true fucking talent by beating Florida State. I don't care what kind of rotation you may say that Florida State had. We beat them 10-1. Okay, you know what? Maybe this team has something. Maybe we can do something. But our next series is going to be up against fucking Auburn. in Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, to be specific. And that first game, while I was at some family's house, I don't remember. Also being sick. No, that was different. That was a different incident down there. There, I watch as Nebraska somehow pulls off the funny of a 9-8 win at Auburn. Like, oh shit, okay. I don't know, maybe Auburn just sucks. Who knows? We lose the next two games, but honestly, I was happy with it. I didn't expect Nebraska to do much, and nobody really did either. But now we finally go home. We play some easy ass games against Omaha and not South Dakota State because that was a one-run win. But you know what? That's expected for a team that is supposed to, again, finished 8th place last season. Then we head into the actual first Big Ten thing, and we have to rely on 10 innings against Michigan State, but then beat them in the next two. May I remind you, this Michigan State team, once again, just barely made it into the Big Ten tournament. Yes, this is the second year in a row that they finished as the last seed. I don't know how they keep doing it, but they actually won games this past time, so, it works. Bludgeon North Dakota State, and then we play our bye week. The thing is that because the Big Ten expanded to 18 teams, there just so happens to be one Big Ten school that has never had a baseball program. And what do you know? That program is Wisconsin. Probably because it's, like 20 degrees in early March still, but I feel like at some point they got to add one. Because Minnesota has one. Like, hey, come on. Come on. It's colder in Minnesota. Come on. But we play the School of Maine. Yes. The Black Bears. The team that seemingly did not win, it does not try to win any conference basketball games. Yes, I say conference basketball games. They just, they just can't win conference tournament games. And we have to rely on 2 comebacks. 2 last-second hurrahs to beat Maine. Maine, I tell you. Maine is not good. I didn't see them make the fucking tournament out of the American East. Yep, it just reinforces that I just don't know about of like 5 runs in the 9th we had to rely on in the final match. It was a doubleheader on that day anyways, but okay, you know what? Whatever, it's fine. We got a 2-game series away to Wichita State. Okay, we win both, sure. That was mostly the matches in between, most fans going from Lincoln to Oklahoma City to watch the basketball team. Because at this point, baseball is in the afterthought. It's, just going to be one of those seasons of, at least we won the first 3, but the main series was not helping. And we pop up in Ann Arbor and lose an ugly 2-1 game. And I watched that, and I was just sad at the fact that a Ty Horn start was rewarded with a singular run, which to this point is the worst performance out of all the games. But hey, at least we pop up with two wins in the away series. Michigan is always kind of there. I mean, they were, before all the other teams came in, they were at least some sort of nemesis. In both baseball and softball, they're really well coached. Then we play K-State. We somehow appear in the rankings right now. K-State is no Kansas, so get out. And then the offense figures out how to do stuff against Indiana. We win that. Wahoo. But now we get to our big rivalry. The only matches that matter to me. Creighton. I don't care for Creighton. Creighton is, again, the host of the College World Series, mankind's greatest sporting adventure. It would be nice if Nebraska would ever make it there again. Home field advantage would be nice. But Creighton, it's been a bit since they've been there too. But they play in that stadium, and yeah, we have to go there, but there's like no fans there anyway, so it doesn't matter. We beat them anyways. We haven't actually like beaten them too much over these past couple of years. So that's cool. And then a sweep at Penn State later. We go up against Kansas. Now at this point, we don't know what Kansas is, other than they have been feasting on Big 12 opponents. But it's like, who knows? Just throw your hat in the lottery, I guess. And we lose 5-3. Not great, Bob, especially when we have to go to Oregon as our next series. And, yeah, we lose that Oregon series in quite possibly, definitely, the worst weekend. The worst week. Just by far, that was the worst. I mean, I get you lose by 1 run against Oregon, but, like, we let one dude terrorize the shit out of us. It was just not fun. But hey, our second match against Creighton, and what do you know? We beat him by 1 run. And by this point, I was like, okay, the players got something to them. The coaching is just not there. And, obviously we got unranked because of this weekend, that past weekend. But if the players just had some bit of in-game coaching, we would be doing so much better. Just so much better. Just let the players play. It's so damn annoying. And it clearly showed that our talent was a lot more than pretty much everyone thought when we host USC in one of the biggest, baseball weekends. A lot of people attended games, and we just kicked their ass. Sure, the first game was an 8-7, 10 inning adventure, a good old walk off from Moyer. Yes, that Moyer, the son of Jamie Moyer. But then we just kicked the shit out of them with 2 walk-off run rules in the 7th and the 8th. It was not a fun weekend for USC. It really wasn't. And what did Nebraska do with this momentum? Lose to Kansas again in one of the biggest games in Kansas that was an out of conference, which is sad to say for me. We lose. The brain inside of me will say that it's because Kansas has a ungodly turf field and it just is way different. I mean, Illinois does not have that bad of a fucking turf field, but what do I know? We still lose to Illinois the next day. I'm starting to think that Kansas is just voodoo magic. The team, they would eventually go on to actually do things in the NCAA tournament for first time in what seems to be an age. I don't know what the hell their programs are starting to do, but they're starting to cook, and that scares me. Because anything outside of basketball, they're just when they start doing that, oh no. But at least we beat Illinois in the next 2 matches. We actually get a shutout in the final one, which, I mean, that is the second shutout. The first one was Michigan. I made that same mistake earlier, but yes, second shutout of the season. Good job, boys. You've done it. Beat K-State in the midweek. Nothing really seems too amiss. I mean, it was only really a 1-1 walk-off win, but to be honest, sometimes it just is hard to win, and you just got to persevere through it. But then Ohio State, well, they hosted us, not really came to town. We went to Ohio State, and we got dumpstered. We lost 2-1. Again, it must be just an Ohio State, Michigan, similar vibe thing. Then we get bludgeoned in the second, and then we get really bludgeoned in the third game. What? No, I don't. What the fuck happened here? The thing is that they just couldn't find the final form. We kept a season thing that we've been seeing is that pitchers were left in for too damn long. They were left in, after innings. they would finish an inning and then for some reason come out again. It was a disaster that just was not helping. Pitchers were being pulled, a batter or two too late, and that was just that it just kept sinking it, and I just don't know, and that is not the momentum you want to be coming into. 5 total runs in a series against one of the most confusing teams. So last year, the team to take our spot out of the, take the spot for best non-California, non-West Coast team was Iowa, which, everyone outside of the Big Ten was just confused. Like, this team is closer to triple digits in the, main polls or whatever. How the hell they finished third in this conference? They finished ahead of USC and Washington. Obviously they had to do a little something with the scheduling nonsense, but also they just were good. But when it came to metal hit the road, they just kind of fell apart in the semis and they missed out on the tournament. Had metrics that were similar to, again, the Nebraska team that finished 8th place in the Big Ten. So, but this year they had the pitching dumpster fire combined with a hitting core that could just continue to hit the ball a lot. They were leading pretty much every statistic in the Big Ten, and we bludgeoned them 10-0, 15-11, 8-6. Now, those final 2 games were a bit close, but just absolute nonsense, and it completed something we hadn't seen in at least a little bit. By far the most home Big Ten wins on the season, in any season, with a perfect 15-0 at home, which is something, I guess. I don't know. It really was just, good. You showed up. Like, we needed exactly to win those 3. And honestly, going to the end of the season, I thought we would finish 3-3. But instead, we finished 6-0, and that also featured a 8-4 win over Creighton, which, for the first time in what seems to be an age, the Nebraska Cornhuskers sweep Creighton. In fact, they barely had won a series in years. Fuck you, Creighton. Got the better of them, at least. In the final series, there was a close Saturday game, but we reached 40 wins during that mark, and what do you know? We actually won all 3 games. Now, because we got swept by Ohio State, there was a 0 chance that we would win the Big Ten, but because everybody else was just falling apart, we managed to still finish 2nd place. Like, oh, wow. 23 conference wins. That's a lot of wins. 40 wins overall. That's pretty good. That qualifies you for 700. All right, what's next? Big Ten? That's again, these Big Ten tournament matches are home matches. But there always has to be some fuck shit that happens in the Big Ten tournament. Because again, we are sitting in Nebraska trying to play these games. So a lot of these games get delayed, and this game was especially delayed. In fact, it was delayed to like an 11 p.m. start. 11 p.m. start. Like, they didn't even want to start the game. And to be honest, I just wanted to get the game over with, because it's either we play this game tonight or we're not getting sleep. Which, you wouldn't get sleep here, but also just like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Oregon even had to play like the next day. So it's like, what is this woke nonsense? Let me see this. Yeah, they had to play. Like, they had to play the 10 a.m. game. Like, That's what to the people that were like, oh, they shouldn't have played the game. They should have delayed it all. They couldn't delay the game to another day, or else that semifinal and final would have happened on the same fucking day. So, like, I get sleep, but also the tournament was just not going to be playing good enough with the weather. They should have started the UCLA Purdue game a lot earlier. Uh, 6 p.m. Like it just was not. Nothing was ideal in that tournament, and so we beat Michigan, but then we just lose to Oregon in game 4 in that series. And that was that. We get shut out for the first time all season. And yeah, that was the end of it. It really was the end of it. Because Oregon dropped a bunch of games, during the regular season that we didn't. We finished ahead of them in the standings, but in this reality, we just lost. And that certainly was not the momentum that you want headed into the regionals, especially if you wanted to host a regional, which we still did somehow. I really don't know. Like, all the, human polls put us at, like, outside of it, but then we get to it and we're, like, ranked number 13. But because we are a host team that is not in the, not in the SEC, we have forked real bad. So now we have to contend with a South Dakota State, an Ole Miss, and Arizona State. Fun fact: Ole Miss and Arizona State are ranked by the humans. I don't know how they got into this, and that resulted in, what do you know? Yet another 1-2. One in two. Another 1-2, and this is most certainly where the athletic department needed to draw the line on just how terrible. Because again, for a third straight year, we finished with a 1-2. Like, that is some diabolical shit. And I don't, like, you gotta change something. You don't win the Big Ten tournament. You don't do anything. And honestly, like, during the season, I came to a realization. Bolt is not the problem. Bolt has never really been a problem. He's a really great recruiter. He is, a decent motivator to the players. It's the assistant coaches that he surrounds himself with. They're just not good. Like, they just don't know how to manage in-game situations, because he delegates a good amount of that to the assistants. And I don't blame him for it. That's, baseball, you got to rely on more than just one manager. You got to have other assistants, hitting coach, pitching coach, all that stuff. But it seems like whenever they just get to these big things, they just switch off. And it just makes no sense to me. When you get to your peak form, you should not be getting swept by Ohio State. When you get into peak form of winning 7 straight, you should not be losing that badly to Oregon. When you get into peak, crowd intensity, you should not be losing by that much to Ole Miss and Arizona State. You should not have to rely on so many goddamn comebacks. Because you know what? Regression to the mean is just going to make this team go 500 again. You want that? You want 2027 to be wasted? Get rid of the assistants. Find somebody else. It's better to go with the lottery than to just not do anything. But not doing anything is exactly what the athletic department did. They gave extension to Will Bolt, which yes. Just give him the extension. He's good. He recruits decently. To my eyes, he has the eye for talent that some just don't, and I'm fine with it. But then they extended the assistants, all of them, to 28. I'm pretty sure. What are we doing here? No, seriously, what the fuck are we doing here? You're gonna keep them? Are you serious? This is not the direction you need to go. You need to be tweaking some things. Try and change the formula a little bit. Because I don't think we're going to get a better situation than right now. Because you know what? The best shortstop in the nation, one of the best hitters in the nation, one of the best defensive players in the nation, has left. I am telling you this, and I will continue to tell you this. This team had the talent to win the College World Series. But because of dumb fuck coaching, we end up going 1-2 again. Also, I'm sorry for I need to switch these, but I don't really care. We go 1-2 again. And I don't understand. I don't understand where is the line that needs to be drawn. Because it needs to be drawn at some point. No. Like it just needs to be drawn at some point. And I don't understand why has it not been drawn at all in the slightest? Because we've continued to... Okay, let me put this in an analogy. Just like for United States soccer, the continental matchups don't matter as much. Because, you know what? Nobody really gives a shit. The players don't seem to give a shit. You know, they decide to not show up for the fucking Gold Cup or, you know, Copa America. They semi-show up. Why should we give a fuck? But the thing that, you know, the people know, the people that people watch is the World Cup. And if you cannot show up to the World Cup, then there is something wrong. And this time around, they showed up until government intervention. This is very similar to what the baseball team is right now. They can play well in the Big Ten. They can win 23 games in the Big Ten. But it does not matter. Because the thing that the people are going to care for is, did you do well in the NCAA tournament? And if that answer is no, back of the line, your importance is non-existent. Because you know what? The NCAA tournament is the end-all and be-all of any coach. And as of right now, the coaching staff is not allowing this team to, you know, win games. Like, at all. They cannot win the big games. They just can't. They finally won, you know, the first game. But once they won the first game, that was it. It was only really because they played South Dakota State, who, mind you, were, you know, under 500. And Arizona State blew the shit out of them. So, what the heck, man? Just, so, I don't know. They aren't willing to get rid of the people that I feel that are responsible for this. And I feel like we're again going to go into the next season with tempered expectations. And it all just, this time we're not going to get the benefit of talent. Because our starting shortstop, gone. Our starting first baseman, gone. Our pitching rotation, gone. Some of our relievers, gone. Some of our better bats, gone. The talent's gone. It just is, and I don't believe in as much the JUCO prospects, the high school recruits, as this team, as the athletic department thinks they can believe in. It's just a no from me, dog. It's just a no, and I just wish that they would get something better, because it's not like the softball team where the peak is kind of ended. I felt like, there could have been something built upon this, but as of now, it's going to be a downfall. Kind of like the softball team, but in less of a way, because different coaching staff. And while they had the same Big Ten result as the basketball team, finishing second place, I am thoroughly unimpressed with the product that they have produced outside of the Big Ten. Because if you really want the Big Ten to be more respected than it is now, you have to win games outside of it. You have to do better than 1-2 against Auburn, which again, I don't blame you for going 1-2 against Auburn. Auburn is a significantly better opponent. They were on the other end of the Super Regional, lost that to Ole Miss. So, we're basically just starting over again. Yeah, sure, we could probably shit out another top half finish in the Big Ten. What good is that gonna do? What good is it? They're not gonna change the format again. They figured out how to stop Nebraska from winning, which is apparently play less games. I don't know. That's an interesting tactic, bold move. Let's see if it works. But you just don't. I don't know. I mean, at least I can still say that we finished in the same exact placement as the number one team in the country, UCLA. 1-2 in our own regional, but it just felt like we were yet another backdrop character. Another, fallen, pointed at reason as to why the Big Ten is just not good. We are the representative of the one Big Ten team that has, sort of survived the West Coast era of baseball. We may still be a, quote unquote, newer member of the Big Ten Conference, but it's not like, Big 12 success was overly much. We still didn't win a national championship. This is a completely different story. But we are the last representative, and the big representative, and it's not gone where we thought it should go, and it's just sad. Like, they have the talent to do things. They have the talent to win games. It's just the ways that they lose are hurting them massively. And it's just going to continue until we figure out coaching changes. Because we're not going to find players like Carey just everywhere. Because you just can't find that. You can't find players that can consistently hit the ball at the college level. And I fear we're just going to slip. Slip in a, space-time continuum that just doesn't conduce good baseball. And I just don't want it to continue going sad, because it just continues to kind of just not be there. And hopefully at some point, shit changes. Maybe the coaches actually finally improve. But as of now, I'm just not going to. I'm just going to enter the season with no expectations, and I guess I'll be more than excited when they finish 500. I can't find myself, getting excited anymore. I'll still tune in for all the games. There's not much I do. But like, come on, man. You had the biggest chance to make Nebraska baseball, even more followed than it already is. As much following as the softball team got. But instead, you chuck it to the wayside. Be thrown out and not even make it to June again. How do you do that? How do you continue to do that? Do you like doing this? Do you like torturing his fan base that desperately needs something before the football season starts? Because right now is nothing. I unfortunately just feel nothing. And I guess that's how it will be. I don't know. Maybe you guys think I have like some sort of positive, thought on this. I don't really, but we'll see, man. We'll see. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later. I guess. Goodbye.